Number 19. So I deliver my first healing conversation online, and some dear humans showed up, and it landed. It started to, like, question number 5 popped out. What's your role in the healing conversation? And that was an inquiry. We're all part of it. Are we engaged? What's our role in this healing conversation for the human condition? And so that was fun. And I got the download about the Be Love app. And I also kept hearing, I said, how am I going to do this? What am I supposed to? Helpers and healers will come. Helpers and healers will come. August rolls around, August 25th or something. And I get this hit that I should do a transmission around finding peace in the heart of chaos. We were in the middle of a huge wildfire season. So this is 19, right? And so Brazil's on fire, Africa's on fire, Siberia's on fire, many parts of the United States are on fire. And people are talking about quality of breathing. So we can't breathe, right? The smoke, the ash is starting to cover the earth. And there's, this visceral awareness of our interconnectedness, that we're all being affected by these fires. And it's like Mother Nature has a lot to say about how these next few decades are going to roll out. We are in a constant tap dance, and she's the leader. So I start to dream into a PowerPoint for that. This was up on YouTube too. YouTube also. Finding Peace in the Heart of Chaos is what it's called. Same day I'm about to deliver it, Charles Eisenstein delivers a beautiful essay video on the same topic. And so I feel like, code adjacency here again. This is, anytime I get scared that I'm so far out on some woo-woo limb, I realize there's some really good people out here on the limb with me. So if we must fall, let us fall, for who we will become will catch us. So it's reassuring, and I'm have invited a bunch of people, and it's about to happen. It's Sunday afternoon, and 5 minutes before I'm about to go on to Zoom to deliver this hour-long transmission, I get do it if nobody comes, even if nobody comes. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. No, that's not how this works. I'm a public speaker. I get to have an audience. This is how this works. Do it even if nobody comes. It's not about them. It's about you listening and following through. And sure enough, nobody showed up. And there's a couple minutes at the beginning of the video where I can see it in my own countenance that I'm calculating whether I should stay on with this or not. But I'm in devotion at this point. When that doctor said you're going to have to sit really still, and I'd been hearing it through so many other lenses, I was like, no, I just have to trust this. Stop second guessing. Just keep putting one foot in front of the next. The way knows the way. Just keep trusting that. And so I deliver the presentation on finding peace. Still a really good one if you want to go back and watch it. And I get done, and the video has to render. And then the second step is it gets uploaded to YouTube. And so it's just automatically rendering, and I walk away. It's Sunday evening now, and I just let it go, and I'll send it up tomorrow. Nobody will be missing it. Monday morning rolls around, and I'm like, still, like, the ego is like, nobody cares, nobody showed up. And so I didn't do anything with it on Monday. Tuesday morning, it's like, I watched it back. There's important, I know it's not polished, it's conversational, and it is what it is, and it's you doing what you can to show up in a world that has some brokenness, and maybe this will land for somebody someday, even if it wasn't today. So I decide, okay, all right, I'll do this, but I still don't. I go and I have breakfast, and now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. And all I have to do, I've got it all set up, all I have to do is push send, and it goes up to YouTube, and it's a done deal. And I get this clear audio, send it. And okay. So I push send, and I get a message, Facebook Messenger, from a friend who's actually just about a mile away. She's brought some people with her from their hometown, and they've come up to have a weekend retreat at a rental house nearby us. And they're not loving the house. It has kind of a weird vibe. And she says, I'd love to bring them to Grace. She had been to Grace years prior, and we wondered if we could come by. And I said, okay. When are you thinking? She goes, well, why don't we come for dinner? And I'm thinking, I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't have food in the house. Like, we eat really out of our garden. We live a very simple life. I'm not used to to host for a dinner party for which turned out to be 7 of us. I said, well, all I have is what's from the garden. She goes, great, we're all vegetarians. We'll bring a couple of big salads. You roast your vegetables, we'll be good to go. And I was like, okay, that was way easy. And I didn't even, I told Stephen, I said, we're having people for dinner tonight. I don't know them. They're friends of this person. And he's like, oh, okay. And so it was one of those magical, warm, end of August summer nights. And they came, and they got out of the car. And there's this gorgeous man and his beautiful wife. I felt very Alanis Morissette in that moment. And another couple gets out of the back seat, and our friend gets out. And we step into one of those magical nights. And I know you know these. I share these stories because I want you to feel into the magic that you're already living in, those moments where you feel kind of like there's a sacred cone of silence or a cone of reverence around you as you become aware of how the universe is tending us. Like, there's just so much magic. So they come into the kitchen, and it's yummy and sweet, and everybody's just happy to be with each other. And we already all can feel like we've talked about, we've done a post-mortem on this moment. It had a spiritual gravity to it, something that ineffable awareness that we were stepping into something. And so we had this lovely dinner, and they began to introduce themselves. And the awesome man that got out of the car that kind of took my breath away is explaining to me that he's a mystic healer, and his beautiful wife is also a mystic healer. And I'm hearing the helpers and healers will come. And then the other couple are all about philanthropic efforts and helping move the needle of opportunity for businesses that are conscious and doing the right thing, right? So helpers and healers will come. And I'm just like, it's surreal. It's unbelievable. And Steven's looking at me too, like we both are like deer in headlights, like, this is happening for us. This is magic. And so we have a lovely dinner, and the conversation has been rich and fun. And I invite everybody to come down to Grace and have a little bit of cannabis on board. And turns out one of the philanthropic efforts is they own a cannabis business. So I knew kindred spirits, and And my friend who had brought these beautiful humans to this moment said, "Hey, Edie, talk about the healing conversation. What's that thing you're doing?" And I had actually put in the video that I had just pushed send on that morning that I was looking for help with this project. And then that's when they reached out and said, "We're coming to your house for dinner. The help has arrived." And so I knew that it was time for me to release the healing conversation in a very sacred way. And so I said, there's a 5-minute version, there's a 45-minute version, and there's a 5-hour version. Tell me what you'd like. And they said, we'll take the 45-minute version. And so I took them through the healing conversation questions. And she's sitting up and her whole spine is like moving and she's got tears. And she said, I was just last week saying to my beloved that I'm just overwhelmed with the grief and the sadness in the world. And I feel like we've got to be doing something more. And I listened to you in this healing conversation and this breathing thing that you want to do with the Be Love app. I got your back. And I was like, what? I'm thinking we all have a little cannabis on board. Maybe we'll just see if this sustains to the new day. And sure enough, the next day they invited me and we got together again. And she says, "I've got your back. Let's get this app started. Let's get this party started. Helpers and healers will come." And they did. And the first round, version 1 of the Be Love app was funded by the helpers who showed up that day. So that became more encouragement to continue to trust this movement, this lens of possibilities that we were beginning to collaborate around. So I'll stop there just to say that there is absolute magic when you begin to shift your lens of perception to life is happening for me. I'm going to have to sit really still. And then I did. And so as my nervous system healed more and more, access to a healing path for all of us became a mirror of my own experience. And I've spent the last few years talking with other people, asking these questions about their own from and to-ness healing path, their before and afterness, this metamorphic awareness. You have to have had that experience in your body to be able to trust that it's possible for our collective human body, for us as unified, collective body of energy. We are going through the exact same steps as an individual goes through in their awakening process. And it plays out on a global scale at a level of violence that can be quite disquieting. And so I'll leave you with this recontextualization moment. I had all 4 of my babies at home with a midwife. And with each child, I knew exactly I didn't know exactly. I didn't know what to expect the first time, but by the second, the third, and the fourth, I knew exactly what was coming. And so I could take what was happening through a different contextual lens. And so if you heard me screaming, you might come running into the room and then realize, oh, she's giving birth, and that scream is quite normal. You wouldn't be so freaked out by the scream. When you've been through your own rebirthing process and felt your own primal scream, felt your own depth of despair in that you think you're going to die, your back is going to break open, your hips are going to fly apart. Like, gentlemen, I'm just going to say there is something to this birthing thing that engages the mythological imagination for what we're going through now that maybe you just have a harder time relating to, but we can get through this. We can breathe through this. We understand what's happening. We're not afraid of it. We can get through this. May it be so. Aho.